I heard Meg said that we're geeks, so I must be the oldest geek here. A year and a half ago, I got a call from my friend Chris, and immediately knew she was very upset. You see, she went to the library to get her passport renewed, and found out that it wasn't open yet. So she decided, I'll go next door to Starbucks to get a cup of coffee. Problem is, it had no ADA accessibility. And her son Andrew, like my daughter Jackie, have cerebral palsy and are confined to wheelchairs. This was the second time in the same year that Chris and Andrew had encountered a similar situation where Andrew couldn't go into an ice cream store. So Chris and I said, we have to do something about this. So we first met with the chief building inspector of the city of Stamford to understand the permitting process and question why businesses are allowed to open up without anything to do with addressing accessibility. In the meantime, the same ice cream store was replaced by a new chocolate store, so we were happy because we figured that they were going to have to address the step issue. Didn't happen. Instead, they applied to the state for a variance, claiming that it was economically infeasible. So our city did not insist upon that change, and we further discovered that because there's no formal ADA training of inspectors, nothing specifically addressing accessibility in the permitting process. Next, we found that Stamford, like most towns and cities in the state, is required to have an ADA representative so that if there was a complaint, you have somebody to go to. And that we found out the city didn't have one for not only this term, but even under Mayor Malloy's for a total of 17 years. So we met with Mayor Malloy, and he vowed that he would appoint an ADA person. So then we started to identify buildings or properties that had compliance issues. By this time, the compliance officer was appointed. He spent time getting our input and interviewing various departments in the city to determine what plans and procedures were or were not in place. He's currently working on an ADA compliance plan for the city of Stamford and will be soon holding training meetings with every department head in the city. Next, we approached the president of the library regarding Starbucks. And because of our input, last year he went to the city, requested some funds, and I'm happy to say that they're collecting bids now, and they're going to be putting in a ramp to Starbucks very soon. A friend then called me said, you better check out this brand new sidewalk that the city installed because there's some problems with it. So my friend Chris took out her ruler and I took out my camera, and we found that they left, there was telephone poles and street signs in the middle of the sidewalk ranging from anywhere between 19 inches and 29 inches, way shy from the 36-inch requirement for a wheelchair to pass. So think about it. An engineer designed it, a licensed contractor built it, and city inspectors supervised it, yet not one person considered that it was totally useless. I then approached the landlord of a property who had no ADA parking for a ramp van in his upper lot. Amazingly, his lower lot was totally in compliance. And up to this point, not one person, until me, had ever questioned or complained about the problem on top. At first, he did not want to lose a parking space, but when I pointed out that I was sure from this point forward, the next time he needed a building permit, he was going to be required to do it, that he agreed to do it immediately, saying it's the right thing to do. The former owner of this business was totally surprised when I approached him about the lack of accessibility because there was a step there. And he actually questioned me to say, how did the city allow this? I mean, I had to put in a proper ADA bathroom. This just didn't make any sense. So this is my daughter Jackie. Lori and I have hit hundreds of obstacles in the almost 16 years of the twins' lives. You can't imagine the dirty looks and the arguing that we've had to put up with. Here's an example where Lori parked her car and somebody parked a truck right next to her. And when she asked if he could move the truck, he said, "Why, you can't get her in there?" Next day, I contacted the landlord, and that's what he did for us. So it's amazing how we can get this cooperation. But the most important thing I learned from all of this was how I used to look at these obstacles. Jackie's not independent, and we would get mad, curse a few words, lift her chair up, and go over the obstacle. But Andrew is totally capable of driving his motorized chair, and is totally independent. So more must be done, and if we want to ensure accessibility, we need to redefine the word accessible as meaning access for everyone. Thank you.